Today, a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, you founded the company back in 1970, the organization, excuse me.
Yep.
$5,000 seed money from Playboy. How have you seen everything change? I mean, from 1970 to now, 45 years.
Well, when we started, frankly, it was an outgrowth of the anti-war movement. I graduated law school in 1968. Right at the height of the anti-war movement and the war in Vietnam, and I was a draft evader like most men of my age. Back then, you didn't even have a chance of getting a low lottery number. All men, when you turned 18 or older, if you were not a full-time student, you were drafted, period. And so it kept a lot of us in school for a long time. But I finally finished law school, and I was still eligible for the draft, and I was 2 weeks away. And some good lawyers from the National Lawyers Guild were helping draft resistors find ways to stay out of the war. And they managed to get me what was called a critical skills deferment. Now, I know I'm getting too much into obscure details here, but the reason that was important, I ended up working for a presidential commission called the National Commission on Product Safety for 2 years, rather than going to Vietnam. And it was a commission that had been created because of the work of Ralph Nader, consumer advocate Ralph Nader. Ralph had come into town and had focused on unsafe automobiles and then eventually broadened out to unsafe products in general. But he basically taught the country this new idea of public interest law, where you would use your legal degree and your legal skills to impact public policy rather than to try to get rich or get your clients rich. Yeah. By the time that commission ended, I was 27, I was too old to be drafted, and so I actually had a chance for the first time to look to my future and say, what do I want to do? Well, I had first started smoking marijuana when I was a freshman at Georgetown Law School in 1965. And so I thought, I really would like to do public interest law, but instead of product safety, I was interested in legalizing marijuana. So we set up NORML as a consumer lobby, a marijuana smokers lobby. At that time, it was considered a radical idea. I can assure you, we were way out on the fringes. And Gallup had just done their first poll to ask the American public how many people favor marijuana legalization. Now, that was in '69, a year before we started NORML. Prior to that, they didn't even think it was an important enough question to ask, which is interesting. Well, only 12% of the public supported legalizing marijuana. 88% were opposed to what we were trying to do. I'm happy to say that today we have 6 or 8 national polls that show anywhere between 53 and 58% of the American public nationwide support full legalization, not just medical use. So the main thing that's changed is we have won the hearts and minds of a majority of the American public, and that includes the 86% of people who do not smoke. I mean, it's one thing, of course the smokers support us, they don't want to go to jail or be arrested, but only 14% of the country are smokers. That's not enough people to ever legalize marijuana. You have to have the support of the non-smokers. So it took us years to get there, but starting about 3 years ago, we broke through the 50% mark. And that's why you're now seeing state after state is beginning to fully legalize marijuana, and I think we're going to pick up another 5 states probably in 2016. So again, the bottom line is what has changed is what was considered a radical idea in 1970 is considered a very mainstream idea today.